Let me start off with, I must have been doing Don's numbers for him because I have one right off the top of my own. I'm not sure what happened somewhere along the lines when I originally did this, the CCSR, and when I finalized it, some numbers got transposed.
City Council staff report for regular folks, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And anyway, the one that was passed out that you see out in the hallway had, in the first paragraph under description, had 9,996 square feet, and it should be 9,914 square feet. And that's also in the last memo that's in there as well. So, but anyway, there we go. So, back to the front again. This did not go to committee first, and I apologize for that. The reason for that is that the applicant, because of they're trying to get their project done, and the ground they're ready to do harvest, and with harvest and the fact that we have a fifth Monday would have pushed this on into August, and they really wanted to get this going. So. And since the majority of the general information you've already seen, we thought that this would at least help the the citizen get through the process. So with that said, and get our clicker here. Now, just so you know up front, this can get very complicated. I tried to put it very simply, but as we've seen, it just is not simple. Thought I would put the recommendations up front because that will help make the rest make sense. Okay. Before you, what we have is a rezone parkland dedication requirement that we were sent back to the drawing board to figure out where to put this land. And this was because of the rezone on the Indian Hills 6th that took place here a few weeks ago. The recommendations in the end here will be, one, either to negotiate purchase of some lots to increase the size of the park, or to dedicate the land, or as I call it, bank the land in another location for future park development. Now on into the presentation. So just to orient you, inside the red dotted line, that's where all this took place here a few weeks ago. And if you'll recall, it was about having the original proposal had and the park moved over to this location, and some additional lots to replace the existing parkland. And we're talking about the two additional lots, and that will be these two westerly lots. That's 1 and 2 on the plat map. It's a 0.94 acre park, and it wasn't until I already had this thing saved and ready to come over here that I realized that this particular plat map was the one with the proposal, but this is still accurate. It just doesn't have this stuff here. And you can see that I can't draw a straight line, but if we were to purchase the two lots, it basically would increase the size of the park to include all the way out to Blaine Street and the rest of the way to the corner of Indian Hills Drive. The parkland dedication that is owed is 9,914 square feet, which of those two lots, there's 4,321 square feet remaining. And just, yes, sir.
So the two lots are greater than what's owed.
Yes.
It's just that easy. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So due to the Phase 3 rezone, we had the 9,914 square feet of parkland dedication. Lots in 1 and 2 equates to 14,235 square feet. Deducting the parkland dedication requirement, leaves us with 4,231 square feet. And if both lots, they're added to the existing park, it would basically be a 1.266 acre park. Now, there's part of the discussions that we've been having with the applicant and trying to negotiate some pricing and things like that. If you'll recall, there is pedestrian easements that go through the subdivision, and the applicant has offered to drop the price of the cost of the city to purchase the remaining pieces of that property to by $20,000 if we were to relinquish those easements. And there's discussion floating through about, the original reason for this was so that there was quicker, easier access to the park from the northerly direction. So, in a nutshell, we tried to draw out some, linear footage. If you left in the easements, or if you had to walk around. And basically, from 700 to 1,000, just under 1,000 feet, if you were to walk around, and if you walk through, it was about half of that. So it's about twice the distance, give or take. And that's looking at from several different angles. So if you walked this way, it's a little over 400. Walking through the pedestrian easements would be 400 something. And then, of course, out here on, is that Blaine?
Alturas.
Alturas, I'm sorry. From the north side and from the south side, and also from the western side. And so that's about where those come out. So, it is twice the distance. And the reason that we measured out to this point here on the south, and that is if those two lots were still there. So, if we purchased it, of course, this is, I believe, a little over 200 feet to the lot line. Less, if that made sense. Wanted to show you the service areas. The present park property service area is considerable. It covers all of just about all of the eastern side of the Bennett property, and considerable amount on the western side. And if you'll recall, we had property from the Indian Hills Trading Company, and it doesn't cover quite out to there, but as one of the alternatives to bank the land, this would be my recommendation, to bank it over here adjacent to this. According to the applicant, this is the most likely property to be developed next. Now, I don't know what time frame that is, but that's the most likely to be developed next. So, taking advantage of that property.
Dwight, if I could, why are you measuring your radius from the center of where you're at instead of the center of over here? Yeah. Instead, why aren't you measuring your radius from the center there? That would be your service area from the center of that park.
Well, it's this one here.
The green
Okay.
line.
This map,
The green line. All right, got
this
it.
map had this. The purple covered the service area from the proposed park that
Got it.
we rejected.
I couldn't see that green line at first. It's hard.
So as you can see, the service areas overlap, and so it's good coverage. Whoop, went too far. We took this to the Parks and Recreation Commission, and they only had one recommendation for the council, and that was to negotiate a purchase for the property. And staff agrees with that recommendation, but also, to bank the property if number one is not doable. The applicant had other options, fee in lieu of, as well as trading some development of the property for the price, and it's just, we just didn't see that that was an angle that we wanted to take. Now, in a nutshell, and on the simple side of things, that's it. Now, number one is where it gets complicated, and this has been changing and different ideas floating around up till just minutes before this meeting tonight. So,
Do I
Yes, sir.
interrupt you with
Yes.
some questions before you get to the complicated
Yes.
part?
Sure,
You
go
okay,
ahead.
Mayor?
Yeah, it is.
please.
Because if you go there, then I may forget what I wanted to ask. And it may require Mr. Thompson to answer this, but it has to do with the banking, it has to do with dedicating parkland, and it appears in Thompson Development's letter of July 11. And I don't know if you have that in front of you or not.
I don't have it in the packet. I do not have it with me, but
Well, let me, if it's okay with the mayor, if I can try you, and if you can't answer it, perhaps Mr. Thompson can.
Okay.
Item 3 on the second page of his letter states banking parkland. It says, quote, "As you know, my family owns the surrounding farmland. We would consider banking the 9914 square feet to be applied towards additional parkland requirements as the property is developed. This will encourage larger parks in future developments." I guess my confusion is the 9914 is what is owed the city now.
correct.
So there's nothing to be applied toward future parkland requirements, is there?
Well, the where he was coming from with that to us is that this property here and this property over here still will have parkland dedication requirements on that when it's platted.
Okay.
And so what they were thinking was, and I don't know that it necessarily mattered where they were thinking, as long as it was in the general area there, but you have the just short of 10,000 square feet park land wherever it's at, and then also whatever other parkland dedication comes of these could be added onto that. You know what I'm saying? Make a even bigger park.
So the 9914 is the proposal to add, one of the proposals, to add the 9914 to what's marked as the Indian Hills Trading Company Park.
That's one of them, yes.
And then what the letter is saying is that any additional parkland from the two parcels you just showed us when platted, that additional parkland could be added as well.
Correct.
Okay. If I may, that takes care of number 3. Number 4, there's a comment that if adding the 9914 to the parkland at the end of Alice Street, which I presume is the one marked with the arrow,
Yes.
if it is not acceptable, we would consider dedicating land south of Indian Hills Drive and east of Frank Bennett's property.
That's that one.
That would be there.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm wanting. Thank you.
Okay, Sue has a question as well.
Well, I don't know if this was discussed before because I was gone, but the lot number 1 is like 7,800 square feet. So why can't that lot be used plus and then bank the rest with anywhere else?
It was discussed, and I mean, other than just adding on a lot, it just doesn't do anything for that park.
Well, it gives you access on a corner lot, and corners are usually not the best residential lots.
Well, I mean, access to what?
To the
I
park,
mean,
to the current park.
well, you just go a few feet and you have access there too. Other than opening it up on the corner
Yeah, and then
instead of a
you don't-
residence,
and
I
then a
mean, it
residence
just
isn't
doesn't do
having-
anything for the park.
Well, I'd heard a comment about people fencing their backyards because there's a park there, and I'm thinking, well, if the corner lot's part of the park, it's an entryway to it.